for Wednesday, August 9th, for the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners for the Port of Coupeville. And let's start by pledging allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, justice for all.
Justice for all. And let's see, who would like to start the roll call today?
John Mishazik, District 2, present.
John Callahan, District 3, present.
David Day, District 1, present. And that brings us to whether or not anyone would like any changes to the agenda.
I don't have anything that's
I would like a clarification. It looks like we're having someone present to us at 11 o'clock, Mary, is that correct?
Yes, the website people will be on to show the website, the new one.
All right, so we'll work around that depending on where time takes us. We may have to go ahead of that and come back to it by 11 o'clock. So that brings us to item 6, which is commissioner action. And I'd like to begin by moving that we approve the minutes of the July 12th and the July 26th regular meetings as submitted.
Second that motion.
got your second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes of the July 12th and the July 26th regular meetings, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion is carried unanimously. And now the vouchers.
Do you want me to read them off, David, or do you want to?
Don, if you got them in front of you right at the moment, that'd be great.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the Port of Coupeville voucher approval document dated August the 9th, 2023 for the following vouchers. Voucher numbers 23-0801 through 23-0831 for a total of $138,705.20. The payroll direct deposit voucher of EFT 0501 for $15,193.22, and the electronic vouchers of EFT 0502 and 0503 for $7,194.83 for a total voucher approval document amount of $161,093.25. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion on the vouchers for today, gentlemen?
I'm good.
Hearing none, all in favor of approving the vouchers as submitted, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All, that is a unanimous decision as well. Thank you very much. And let's take a little break here and respond to Don's
I just sent it a few seconds ago.
For signatures.
All. How do I do this?
I have received one so far.
Okay, dated. Okay, I just sent mine.
All right, I believe that's everybody.
Yep, I have all three of them. John's just showed up. John and John's.
Okay,
Okay,
Mr. President,
yes, sir.
yeah. I have my phone right now on a vibrate mode. I'm expecting a call from the VA. I've been waiting for 2 days. It's one of those, we'll call you in 2 days. And if that call comes in, I may drop out for a couple of seconds while I get a number to call them back or something. So,
No problem. If it's just a short call, we'll be happy to do a little recess even.
or catch you up, okay, whichever works best.
Yeah,
So-
catch me up. I'll be hearing what's going on. I just need to tell them what it is I'm ordering. That's all.
okay. Okay, we're back from our assignment to respond to Dawn. And that brings us to the first opportunity for public comment. If there's anyone that would like to speak with the board regarding information about the port, please give us your name and where you live. And please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak with the commission?
So Mary, are you able that if somebody raises their hand, you can unmute them, or is that?
Yes, I could. And there's Sarah who's still on silent and Louisa who's still on silent and Mary Ann's here shaking her head no. So
All right. If there is no public comment, we'll move to item number 8, which is a financial update from Dawn.
you're on mute, Dawn.
Everything looks great. As of July 31st, I have all of the treasurer's journal entries in the reports that I sent you. We have at this time a total in the IDD fund of $1,786,273.13. $1,500,000 is in the trust savings account, which has been earning some really, great deal of interest. We received about $2,400 this month, or in January or July. I mean, keep on saying January. I think I need to start over. But in the general fund, we have a total of $572,720.70, with $510,000 in the interest savings account, interest-bearing savings. We have $62,720.70 in our general operating account. Right now.
So to clarify, Don, does that mean we have $2 million in the collecting interest?
Yes,
Okay.
we have, yeah.
Just to
About
clarify.
2,400 of that interest that we received this month was in the IDD interest bearing.
Okay.
So we did
I'm
receive.
sorry to interrupt you. Please
No.
go ahead.
No, that's fine. We did receive the reimbursement for the purchase of the diesel from the Oak Harbor Marina. So that payment did come in July. So we received a little over $3,600 for that. And grant money is coming in. Right now, we have received on our active grants $153,947.94. Outstanding that we have already submitted for requests equals $240,921.98. We just received check verifications on Monday for $161,778.68. So basically, we have a little over $160,000 that we will be processing for reimbursement this week, for a total of a little over $556,000 that we have been able to recoup with just grants.
That's,
Other,
I would just like to make the comment that I think that's a pretty outstanding job of leveraging the money that the taxpayers give us to accomplish work done. So it isn't just the taxpayers of the Port of Coupeville that are helping us build and maintain things. It is a number of entities from across the state.
yeah, that Chris and Mary both worked very hard getting those grants.
Anything else, Don?
No, other than the fact that, you might want to take in consideration that even though we have some of those grant projects, our IDD capital projects, what that just means is that those IDD capital projects are costing us less and making further needs of the port available for those funds. Oh, and I did want to say that I will be working on the budget here really soon. So this month is going to be the starting of creating it. So we should see something in beginning of September.
Good deal.
Commissioner Misichek, do you have any questions for Don regarding our financial update?
And more, instead of a question, more of a statement of, I'm happy to see that, that have grown as a port, and Dawn has been a critical part of helping us do that with our financials. So thank you, Dawn.
You're welcome.
I'd be happy to second that.
Thank you.
And
There's a
also,
third yes.
yeah, yeah, and there's actually it's a team effort. I think Mary, Chris, Murray. I mean, Dawn is all working well to get outside money flowing in to be used for projects, and that's really what the port's supposed to do. It's like a financial institution in some ways, with the arm of actually, hiring people to do the work. Like we went through our discussions at the last meeting about who to select for projects. We have our staff that does, routine maintenance, but it's also, leveraging our staff to find other people to do work after we find money. So anyway,
Yeah.
Good job, everybody.
Thank you.
Commissioner Callahan, anything you have in terms of questions for Don?
No, thank you very much, Don.
You're-
Just a, you do a lot of stuff on Excel.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you have the capability of displaying some of the information, not in columns of numbers, but as I wish I could remember that it's a circle which a pie, how much is being spent.
Pie graph,
Huh?
pie chart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
both
like-
both both Chris and I, Chris normally creates reports, especially when he's trying to do his recap. But yes, we can
All right,
create
great, thanks.
graph reports. I can even do that with some of the financials, if, you know, for picture purposes, if that's what you would prefer to see.
Yeah, it was just a question. Sometimes I get confused reading all of the reports and pulling all the numbers together, referencing in reference to each other. That kind of a
Yeah.
little pie chart gives me a visual picture of what's going on.
Okay.
Thanks.
My other question real quick before I'm done with my part is, do you want to see I provided a request for the grant activity report, basically is what I'm calling it. And it just has the current grants it's right now that we have going on. But do all of you want to see that? I created it for Dave because he made a request, but I was wondering if you guys would like to see it too.
I'd like to take a look at it to see what it looks like. I don't know if I want to see it all
Okay.
the time, but
Okay, this is different than the IDD recap, just so you know. I mean, because kind of in the IDD recap, the grants are kind of intermixed into that report, but this is just strictly grant activity. So I'll go ahead and give it to everybody.
thanks.
You're welcome.
My only question, Don, is whether or not you perceive any stumbling blocks over the next few months that you didn't foresee when we started the budget process last year, or if you feel that the port is on pace to basically live under our budget for 2023.
Yeah, I don't see any problems at all to maintain what we have going on right now in our projects and in our overhead. It's just building the budget that can be kind of hectic because I don't always get the numbers from the county until the last minute, which makes it a little nerve-wracking. But other than that, we should be pretty steady in our process.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you
I got
very
the
much,
question.
as
So
always,
I got a
for your
question. So
report.
Don, how many of our budgets have you worked on previously? Is this
I worked on
last
20,
year or something?
20, 21, 22, 23. I think this is going to be my 5th. Yeah.
Okay. Good deal.
All right, let's move on to old business, and that is item 9. 9.1 is a discussion regarding the website, but we're about 40 minutes early. So let's, unless you can, they're scheduled at 11, right, Mary?
Correct.
So let's jump over that item and go to 9.2, which is a discussion regarding our broadband project update. And I assume that's you, Mary.
It is me. So you guys see the map?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so here's the map that they've been working on. It's still in progress. You can see they have lots of homes already
Excuse
mapped
me,
out.
Mary, can I interrupt you for just a second? Just for clarification purposes, can you tell me what FTTP stands for?
Fiber to the premise,
Thank you.
right?
That was a good question. Fiber to the premise. So these white dots with the black centers are the homes, and they have over 700 homes that they've already mapped out, and they're about 75% done with the homes. The grant projected was 1,043 homes. So they're currently working on the Harrington Lagoon area. So that's why you see this big empty space over here, because they're currently going through that area to map it out. down here at the southern border, the yellow is the borders for where the grant is covering. They are proposing Whidbey Tell is putting in a hut there where all the fiber will go in and go out. And we will meet with them to discuss sharing that hut so we wouldn't have to build our own. So we'll see if that's advantageous for us or not. So that will be Chris, Seth, Karen, and I will meet with them to discuss that. So this aqua line that goes through the center on 525 is actually an area that Whidbey Tell got a grant to run it through. So that's going to help our grant. So that's just going to alter it a little bit, but that's good that they got a grant that's going to work in our favor. The green is the actual route of the lines that they want to put in. The blue was what they thought it was. So when we put it out to them, that's what we thought the plan would be. So the green is actually what we're planning on. And the red is for the aerial, and so those are the ones that are going on the poles. And the blue is where we're going to be burying it. So we are excited to see all this progress going in. Was that David?
Well, I'm just,
Nope.
so every one of those red stars is a pole, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's a lot of poles. So those are PSE poles,
Correct.
and have we already negotiated the cost of using those poles?
There's an agreement to use them. I'm not sure if they've agreed on an amount, but I know there's an agreement made. I'll have to go back and read through that PSE agreement again and let you know, but that's still under the grant. So,
But there will be a cost to use those poles.
oh, of course, always a cost.
Okay. Okay,
What's the white black dots?
There's the homes.
Oh, those, okay.
They could actually be businesses too, right?
Correct.
It's a premise, not just strictly residential.
and have we learned any more about how we're going to deal with the area around the OLF?
Well, we're meeting with Island County next week, but it appears that Whidbey Tell is going to have to deal with that with their grant. See, it's going right down the middle by OLF.
Okay,
Mary, how far down does this go on the lower right-hand portion of your diagram here? Physically, where is that?
Question we have, so let's see, can I do that on here? Not sure how to do that on, well, I'm sharing,
it's just south of Admiral's Cove.
Keystone.
I was
Right.
wondering if this doesn't cover my neighborhood in Ledgewood,
No,
District 3.
Because the yellow line is where Whidbey Tell is south of there. And so it matches up to where Whidbey Tell is already there.
That makes sense.
Thanks.
So, Mary, do you know where that business park is that's just outside of OLF, right? Just north of it is the Main Street Repair and some other businesses.
it's just inside the boundary, John.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's right up here, right under the yellow.
So those little circles with the black dot, could that actually be some businesses?
It may be, there's also homes right behind it too, so.
So the white mark there, just under the yellow line, isn't that the bus barn?
I believe so.
Yeah. So Island Transit is involved in this. And then, the garbage company is over here to the west of that. And the recycling center.
You're talking about island disposal?
Yeah,
Island, yeah.
yeah.
So
So I will get the answer to those questions. How much is the PSC agreement for using the poles and what businesses will be helping with this?
the South Main Street South Main Street is on that upper left quadrant of this
Right.
map.
Right.
So that would be like Hoops Village.
Mm-hmm. Dawn's office, maybe?
Good.
Yeah,
That's, all things considered, that's pretty impressive benefit to the community.
Correct.
And the one that, I know that we actually had one of the people that owns a home in the southwest quadrant, because they have definitely unserved needs. That's going to be a big benefit to them. I've been told by Windermere that having fiber to the home adds about $5,000 of value to a property when you're trying to resell a home. Nowadays, people are asking a realtor, find me a home that has fiber optic connectivity. And so that's a benefit to people that have the ability to hook up in this map. So, Mary, is it possible to see more than just this map, how it sits within all the other areas around it? I mean, I know that Comcast, kind of said, well, you don't want to go into our area and overbuild.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, how areas that are just outside of this yellow marked area, is it possible for a little pocket of homes that want a choice in their internet service provider that they could approach? Let's see, would we be approaching Astound as our partner? Who's going to be our partner on this?
We're working with Whidbey and Atco and Midstate.
Okay.
So this is just the design purposes. They haven't given me like the addresses or how this is going to affect north of us.
The only reason I bring this up, and it maybe, I don't even, it ties into Commissioner Callahan's question, but previously, somebody would be desperate to hook up to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would meet with like a regional manager of Wave, back when it was called Wave instead of Astound, and he would give me examples of like 10 homes that the person in desperate need would go to his neighbors and say, well, if we all commit to hook up to fiber, they will bring it into our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm headed towards, are there some addresses just outside of this build area that type of process may help somebody speed up their process of getting choice of ISPs. And so that's why I'm wanting a little bit bigger map, adjacent areas is what I'm saying. So at some point, if you could share that, and I think the other comment I would make about, when an individual commissioner makes a request, that information should be shared with all of us.
Okay.
To have one commissioner have any information that's impacting the port and the other one to not have it is not good in my book. I got blindsided massively at the last meeting by not having information that Commissioner Day had requested, and it was not shared with me. So I'll let that go, but I just want to say in the future, I know that I try to say to Chris, please share this with the other commissioners so that they're not left in the dark. Okay.
Mhm. So
Okay.
the next part of the broadband project is our franchise agreements. So are you guys okay with me taking this off, or do you guys still want to look at this?
I'm
Good.
not looking at it.
Okay,
I've got a hard copy.
awesome. So we will be meeting with Island County next week to go over what construction on roads they have planned and how that's going to affect ours, how we're going to deal with EB's reserve and the permitting. The franchise agreement is we're paying them a one-time fee to use their right-of-way construction. So where they're able to build, we're paying them to be able to build in there. We did find out last week at the meeting with Mid-State is that we are also going to have to reach out to WestDOT for a franchise agreement with them. And that's a lot of people are working on that right now because WestDOT is very far behind, and we're just concerned about getting it done within our time frame for the grant. So Kara is reaching out from Petrichor, is reaching out to her contacts about how we can get this through faster. Tammy with Washington State Commerce is in a meeting, as we are, to talk about how we're going to deal with the 18 months behind that they are. Kelly McGill from ATCO is preparing the documents to deal with the WestDOT franchise agreement, but that's going to be the expensive one where it's thousands of dollars, but it's also again covered by the grant to cover it. You guys have any questions about the franchise agreements?
When you speak of a one-time fee, can you put that number in a ballpark?
I asked for the ballpark for Island County, and what their response I got back was it's a nominal fee. And then I sent the franchise agreement to our contact at Island County, and she had no idea what I was sending her. So we're still working with Island County to get a full understanding of what's going to be expected of us. But I was told it's going to be a nominal fee. The one that we have to work out is
What
WestDOT.
department in Island County does that go to, Mary?
Planning.
Okay.
So again, we're meeting with them on the 17th to go over all that. So I'm hoping to get more answers from a face-to-face versus over the phone and emailing. The cultural plans for digging and such are due next week. We got one in already, which is exciting that we got one in, and that is everything for the broadband project.
So are there specific areas that are subject to cultural that we're aware of that may be subject to cultural mitigation?
Anywhere where we choose to dig. So they're going to be looking at the plans and making their recommendations based on that.
And when you say they, who are they?
we hire for the plan.
Okay, so they like converse with the tribes, is that the,
We have sent out letters before this got started. Chris sent out letters to all the different tribes around here. I believe we got one feedback from them, and now this is the next step in, because whenever you build anything on this island, you have to have someone come out to do that. So that's my understanding of why we're needing this here.
right, and I'm just wondering if we're projecting whether or not there will be any problems with cultural findings.
It's too early to say.
Okay. If you go back, can we see the map again?
Of course.
So like just north of the northern boundary here, kind of in the top right-hand corner, there is, like, there's, what's his name? Chief somebody's buried like right in there.
Snakem, is that Snakem?
Yes, Chief Snakelum is buried like right in that area. I think just north of the line, but I'm not sure, so.
Well, it looks like there's some blue just below it and down by Admirals. And it's more on the left side than the right, it looks like. But again, it's just going to be along the roads. It's not going to be on anyone's land.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
One comment, Mary, going back to what Commissioner Mashanchik had been talking about earlier. If there is a map that shows the, in addition to the one that you just showed, which shows what's happening south and north in the area of Coupeville total, that would be helpful.
I will see what other maps Midway shared with us.
Check, isn't that is there a map in the executive summary from the BAT that covers all that?
I don't think so, Dave.
Huh, okay. I thought that they mapped the whole county for.
They did, but I'm thinking that as much work has been going on by Astound, and maybe even Comcast, those maps are starting to get dated.
Okay.
I mean, you know, I've seen in Ziply, out there, you know, extending, you know, what they have. So that was like a moment in time assessment.
Okay.
So I doubt, I'm going to be skeptical that there's it's going to have, you know, all the new fiber, new whatever, you know, being mapped out.
Okay. But that is that what you're asking Mary for? Is
Well, I'm wanting, yeah, I'm wanting to see how close some of the concentrations of premises are to this build, to see if there will be neighborhoods that'll say, whoa, you know, while that's happening, you know, if we all get together and commit, you know, to using new construction into our neighborhood for 5 years, while you're building that, does it make sense to expand into little pockets of neighborhoods adjacent to this map?
Well,
So
the
that's-
Rodina community and the Snakeland Point community are just north of that line. And then what's the one between me and them? Kenneth Point is just north of that. And then I live just above Long Point. So that's about 100 homes there. So.
And I can't tell from this map, where State Road 20, and it's underneath that big white block that says, Coupeville FTTP designates status. I can't tell, I know where I live. I know we have a choice of one ISP. So one of the issues about this is open access. So, do I try to rally all my neighbors to say, hey, can we get a choice in our internet service provider if we commit for like a 3, 4, 5 year, utilization of this system? So that's why this adjacent area thing, I can't even see the yellow line on the bulk of this map. It's almost like I need a map that says, let's just see the build area. Show me a map that has the premises. Show me a map. This one has them all on top of each other. And that's where it gets a little like, okay, I'd like to see just, some different layers of the map. You see where I'm headed with this, Mary?
Mhm.
That it'd be nice to a little bit bigger and a little bit where you could just layer on all the different yellow, blue, red, green type information.
I will forward the other maps that Midway shared with us that doesn't have the legend on it, and hopefully that will help.
That would help. Yes. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mary regarding the broadband project? Then we have about 15 minutes before 11 o'clock, which brings us to continue to skip over 9.1 and go to new business regarding the Port of Coupeville Harvest Fair.
And that's gonna be me again. I'll share with you. Oh, where'd it go? Let me get that ready. I had it ready and it disappeared on me. So Murray is out today, so I will share with you what she's been doing with the tenants here to prepare for the Harvest Festival. She has set up a bunch of nonprofits to come in and share with that. We have, we're trying to get a car show to come, but there's a show the day before. So they were having a little problem getting a commitment from them. But someone did have a giant circus tent that they're coming to donate and set up for us. So we'll have like all the kids craft in there and we'll set it up so they can see it from the highway. So that's exciting. It's a giant, it takes 8 people to set it up. We're gonna have some food trucks come out and still working on getting some more vendors, but since it's been out on social media and they mentioned it on the news program last month, we've been getting a lot more interest in being part of it. So it's gonna be a really great community builder. We have Mark from One Willow is donating hay, so we can have a hay ride and we'll drive up and let people out to go see the Dahlia farms and up and around. So it's going to bring the whole community together and just have a fun day in September.
Sounds good.
It's September 12th.
10th.
10.
It's a Sunday from 10 to 4.
And that's a Sunday, is
Correct.
that right?
Yes.
Okay. So is the port the primary sponsor of this, or is there, how is the financial side of this working?
So far, everything that she has spent has come from people paying for their booths.
Okay,
So I believe the nonprofits are paying $25, corporations would be 50. Something like that, yeah. We have some musicians set up to come,
somewhat.
musicians.
Oh, okay.
So it's starting to come together. It's been kind of a last minute attempt to move forward with it, and but she's doing a really great job of getting lots of people here, and the community is really excited.
And the involvement with our current tenants, is that, what's that like?
I know the wine shop and cheese shop are working together to do a pairing in the barn. The art studio, her husband's actually coming to be a musician here. She's also donating some things for the children's crafts. The bistro is going to be open. Would Be Pies is donating pies for a pie eating contest.
Nice.
Would Be Commando Land Trust is going to have a booth and do some things there with the community. So everybody's really come together.
Great.
So Commissioner Day and Callahan, I just noticed that one of the members of our community just showed up like 30 seconds after we did a wrap on the broadband project. So I would like to encourage Mark, who's attending our meeting now, to reach out to Mary to see that map. Or is that map going to be posted on our website?
I believe Chris wanted that to be done. So when he gets back on Monday, I'll remind him to put the map on the website.
Okay. I just know that Mark is one of those people in our community that's very, very, very interested in getting internet access improved where he lives. And he probably represents one of those circles on our map. And again, he was about 30 seconds late to seeing that.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry I was late. I'm really sorry I missed that.
Yeah. We'll get that to you.
Okay, any other questions for Mary about the Harvest Fair?
I don't.
Let's move on to 11 then. And a discussion of the Port of Coupeville ethics policy.
The last one that I sent out to you by way of background is I've gotten some more information from other ports, one of which was the Port of Bellingham, and the other is of course, the Port of Seattle. And the highlighted areas that I sent you on this last draft are from the ethics policies of those those organizations. Yeah. And yeah, so do you guys have any questions on the information that I sent you?
I don't really. The only, in looking it over, Commissioner Callahan, and I don't have it in front of me right at the moment, but toward the end where it talks about gifts and about the infrequent purchase of food and beverages.
Yes,
I had a question about whether or not one could accept alcoholic beverages within that
there's no,
policy.
I was gonna say, there's nothing that I've come across that delineates alcohol or non-alcohol.
So if somebody wants to buy you a beer, that's okay then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where this is going, is that if you're going to a function and somebody or you're going to be having a lunch or something, and someone wants to buy you lunch, which includes a beer, I think that's what it covers. Subject, by the way, of course, to the appearance of impropriety. So, the situation changes if it's a contractor that you have, that's, looking to get a contract. Then you run into an appearance item of accepting stuff. It may be under the $50 limit, but to anybody else that's in the restaurant looking at it, it looks like that there's some kind of favor being asked for. And so that would caution you against doing that kind of stuff. And by the way, this is only applicable right now to the commissioners. Which is, by the way, what the Port of Seattle has done. They have a differentiation between the code of ethics for commissioners and that for employees. And I think part of that is the fact that when you're dealing with employees, you may be dealing with unions and other kinds of agreements that employees have, and you want to make sure that like they have their own disciplinary functions and stuff like that. So this doesn't affect our employees. It just affects the commissioners. So if you don't have any questions, then what I'll do is I will draft up a one of those whereas things, and we can take a look at this at the next meeting and vote on it. We'll have an ethics policy.
So I'm wondering if this is something that you would expect upon election a commissioner to sign.
I think, no, I mean, you could do that. But I think if it's a resolution that this is what we abide by, then any incoming commissioner is bound by it. And if you really wanted to make it, if you really wanted to make it.
So it would be part of a commissioner's welcome packet, as it were.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be a great way to go.
Such as our welcome packets are.
No, all right. I will do that for the next meeting. And if you have any questions, let me know. And meanwhile, I have a next draft, if you will, of the priority exercise that we were going through. As you may recall, that kind of came to a screeching halt some time ago. We got involved with other things. So now that we're not involved necessarily in other things, I've taken the comments that were made at the end of our last iteration, and I'm putting that into a different document. And I will try and send that out to you before the next meeting, as well as I did ask for something to be put on the agenda today regarding an exit policy, but I got the request in too late to be included on this agenda. So I will ask for it to be on the next agenda, and that's another administrative item that you guys, I think you've got copies And we can talk about that at the next meeting.
Okay. Any other questions for Commissioner Callahan regarding the ethics policy?
Not here.
All right. Well, we're almost at the 11 o'clock designation, so let's jump back to 9.1 for a website update.
I believe they are here. And they're coming on.
We are here. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning. Hello, everyone.
Morning.
Hi. All right. We're jumping into the Port of Coupeville website today, this morning. So Tyler and I'm Emily. This is Tyler. We make up Cold Pizza Creative. We are a small digital marketing firm out of Port Townsend, but we do a lot of work on Whidbey Island. Notably, some of our clients have been Pen Cove Brewing Company, of course, now the port, and we've worked very closely with a number of people on the island. We're very grateful for that. So we thought we would just really quickly show you some of the updates that we are going to be implementing on the website for the Port of Coupeville and what is really driving these decisions based on the analytics that we've looked at.
Great.
And so let's just start. I'll go ahead and share my screen if I can, if that's a possibility.
Says the host needs to set that permission.
I'm happy to do this verbally as well.
Is there anyone that can enable screen sharing for us?
I'm trying to figure out how that is done.
Okay. Well,
Well, that's for me to screen share.
Oh. No. You have to give them permission.
I was not updated on them.
Leader.
Well, this is silly.
If you go to the bottom of your screen, isn't there a green button that allows you to share?
It allows
Okay.
me to share. Did I do it?
Yep,
Yeah,
you
we're
got
done.
it. Yep, you
Thank
got it.
Learning curve.
Right? Okay, so the very first thing we'll look at here is just some quick analytics of the current website. And mostly what I'm looking at, just a really quick overview. A lot of the people that are visiting your website have never been to the website before. So that's kind of telling us what might they be looking for, what information are they seeking. 2% are returning visitors.
Is this over a particular time frame?
Correct. Yep. I should say this is over the last 60 days. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But they stay pretty consistent throughout unless something very, very, very major happens. Earlier in the summer, it would have been nice to have some of the analytics running during the, some of the conversations with the airport, because I think the statistics might have been a little different those months on the visitors and the type of information they're seeking.
I would also assume during tourism heavy months and the summer months, people might inadvertently end up on the port website versus some more of the public facing stuff.
I'm going to keep scrolling down here. A large majority of viewers are actually viewing the website from a mobile device or a cell phone rather than their desktop, which I found very interesting for the port. That's also telling us that, well, one, habits and technology are changing. Most people are using their phones, but also that can also lead to the idea that a lot of the visitors are new and are looking at the site as they're moving, as they're going somewhere, or as they're en route potentially to Whidbey Island from Seattle. I'm going to just come down here to the very last, and I just wanted to highlight, so these are for the last 2 months, the most visited pages and those numbers, and kind of is going to direct where we put our focus on as we move this website into a kind of a different format, different layout, and a different way of presenting information. A majority of the visitors land or want to land on the Green Bank farm information. That's what they want to know about. We've got, for the, like I said, the last 60 days, almost 2,000 visitors to that page. So I think that putting some emphasis on the public spaces, such as the port and the Green Bank farm on the website update, is one of our #1 priorities. We also, there's significant traction down here on these port project pages, events, kind of the agendas, minutes, and documents. Those are probably where the returning visitors are coming from and looking at that information. And so with those pages, it's mostly about cleaning up that data and making sure that it is easily accessible and easily searchable or findable for what you're looking for. Because I know the port does a lot of document-based meetings, a lot of PDFs that get shared and downloaded.
Can I interrupt you?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
In reference to the numbers going to the Green Bank farm, do you track them further into the site from simply the Green Bank farm page?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where-
This is
Where are they going? Where are they going inside the farm?
so, we can kind of break that down just based on this list right here. They're likely exiting as soon as they get to the Green Bank farm. A lot of them exit off right then and there. I can pull up our full Google Analytics report. It might be a little bit more in depth than we want to see right now, but
As a store, and I just, one thing that it has been happening in the past 60 days, there was an evening magazine TV segment on Green Bank Farm, so some people could have, and I posted it on social, but we also have an event coming up, the Harvest Festival. It's starting to get a lot of PR, so people may be, these are just things that have been timely that could reflect interest in Green Bank Farm.
yeah,
Absolutely.
right. Yep, absolutely. All of the traffic drivers, and we can break that into a report. Ideally, we're collecting this data on the current website, and then when we implement the new changes, we'll have some comparable data. And of course, over time, we have basically the summer months and some fall months to kind of see how web traffic changes, where visitors are coming from, and what information they really are trying to seek. So I just I'm kind of looking over this very quickly to see if we look at engagement time, isn't very long. So a lot of them are getting to Green Bank Farm and dropping off for whatever reason. We really, once we kind of get more data, we can look into that. We ideally, in our new design, we're going to give them a lot of information to want to get them to stay on the page and learn as much as they can. I know Green Bank Farm is an example that offers a lot of different services, amenities, wildlife, birding, gardening, all sorts of different avenues for people that they might be looking for. So we really want to highlight each one of those in a way that they can access.
I was primarily wondering if you can tell whether people are looking for a place to get married or to have a party.
Events. Yeah, that's something it's on our agenda. I think they would. I think that should be more prominent on the website as it is right now, because if I pull up the current website, if I were a visitor and looking at the website, I honestly wouldn't know that that's something that's offered right off the top of the bat, so that is something I think we both want to improve.
We just
bring
attended a
attention
wedding
to.
there a couple weeks ago, and it's a beautiful facility, and I was impressed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I'm thinking about revenue for the port.
yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. That's yep. So, and as we're just kind of looking at this current homepage right now, I think we could do a lot more. I think that the Port of Coupeville has a lot of beautiful spaces, a lot of high activity spaces too. So I think involving more imagery, more moving imagery, more people, more kind of community-based feel and texture to it, more videos, and a lot more calls to action that make you want to visit Greenbank Farm, host an event at Greenbank Farm, visit Coupeville Wharf, make donations, and also highlighting the meetings and documents and the organization of that data that comes from commissioner meetings. And just right now on this homepage, as I said, it doesn't feel like it puts a lot of emphasis on Greenbank Farm and on the Coupeville Wharf. Even if you were to highlight Greenbank Farm, there's nothing here that immediately says you can rent the space for an event. You'd have to go into this events tab, which is a little broad because when we look at the calendar, we're really looking at port commissioner events, not necessarily weddings and festivals. So I would like to break those apart a little bit more. So that's just kind of a quick rundown of numbers and just a familiarization of what the current homepage looks like. In terms of the information and the text, we're going to keep a lot of that. We're really looking at functionality, design, and again, making sure that the information that is there is available to the people who are seeking it. So I'm going to stop sharing and switch over here. So this is still a work in progress. We are in our very first stages of building this out. So I'll let Tyler jump in here.
Oh, sorry, it's just moving that. Oh, sorry.
And just a slight, change of information and hierarchy of information as we scroll down the page. Giving people more areas to click and find, again, Greenbank Farm, Coupeville Wharf, what's happening in and around these places. These are all buttons that will take you to different pages depending on where you want to go. And this type of look and feel is carried throughout every page. And I'm just going to kind of scroll down to show you.
Got a bunch of nice subtle animations.
Links to the meeting so people know how to stay involved if they would like. Kind of a quick section to about, a lot more areas to click, a lot more places to kind of find some interactivity. Again, I still need to tweak some. This is a work in progress still, so we're still kind of tweaking some spacing and some layouts of items. We really want to emphasize people signing up for the newsletter. As Chris has mentioned, it's become quite popular over the last summer and months. So making sure people have a lot of opportunities to stay involved with the port, if there would be, or outside residents. And then we've got a consistent footer that's going to be throughout. This is every page. So as I'm scrolling through again, if you have any questions, let us know. This is again still a work in progress and a bit of a draft still. We're working with Chris and Murray on a lot of the fine-tuning adjustments here.
Could you go back to the top in the main page, please?
Yep.
I want to look at the buttons. So
Sure.
Do you have an opinion on,
I'm just wondering if there's a way of perhaps making a better or I'm not sure of what words I want to use. Like there's port business and then there's things to do. So
Right. Okay.
Kind of the two primary user groups for the website.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I assume that by creating a meetings document and agenda stuff, that could be the label, another label could be port business or
Sure. I
something like
actually, I
that.
like that better. Yep.
And the event and meeting calendar, is the event part of that? Is that port business or is that?
It's kind of answered currently, yes, as our kind of redesign is taking place. We're doing a lot of things on the back end of this website to make it easier to update on the ports end. As it stands right now, it's a little bit challenging and they don't have all the access they need to make the updates that they want to. And as the events are currently listed, I think they are both on one event calendar. That said, as we do build out the back end of this site to have more functionality for the editors of it, I think splitting them would be beneficial. And that's something we can talk about in their workflows, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I'm just throwing it out because I go to the website for certain things to like review minutes or something from time to time.
Yep.
And quite honestly, it would be great if it was easier to do than it is currently. And I'm assuming that's what you're.
That's Chris's stated main goal is he understands that the majority of users are coming to look for those meetings and minute documents.
Yeah.
So that's his primary concern, is being able to get you guys to what you need to read in a efficient, quick manner.
And I'm happy to kind of jump around a little bit here. I'll show you kind of how we've broken down. This is another page that we're building out and redoing for meetings and documents, or I do kind of like saying port business. That sounds better. And it sounds more encompassing than meetings and documents. And again, we're going to have that same button structure, but a different, kind of different menu depending on what avenue of the website you want to get to. So for your purpose, this page would be something you would be visiting a lot. And so now as it stands, and I'm going to actually jump back to the current website so we can kind of look at that. The meetings and documents, I'm going to go to agendas, minutes, and documents because that's where it is. We scroll down through here and we have this tab solution with a very, 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 very long amount of scrolling to get through the years. As we see, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And it does that for each one of these tabs, which in my opinion is not very intuitive, especially if viewers are coming from their phone. I doubt the people visiting these pages are on their phones. This is more of the information you're looking at from an office or from a work point of view. So what we've actually done is we've pulled pretty much all of these tabs out into their own pages and into their own, on this page, button. So I'm just gonna, I'll scroll down through this page, but then I'll show you how we're gonna organize that information from those tabs a little later. So, on the port business page is what I'm gonna go ahead and start calling this because I like that. We start off with commission meeting schedules. For the yearly schedule, we'll have every upcoming meeting on here for them. How to join the meetings. We've got the Zoom, we've got the phone, and these are directly linked so people can join in right from this page if they would like to. They've started recording the meetings as of now, so we're going to actually have a stream of those on this page to rewatch of the most recent meetings, and then a link to the YouTube channel to watch all of them if you are so inclined. And then here we get down into kind of a breakdown of the documents, and the way I see it is this little area is just the most recent. So if you wanted, say, the last 3 months of data, we're going to keep right here. And then we have buttons that take you to a full list of 2016, 2017, 2018. But again, we really want to highlight the most recent and kind of ongoing information. So if you were to click on, like recent minutes, view all minutes, we've organized those documents into a page like this. So now we can filter by year. I'd like to implement a search bar eventually too, so that if you wanted, if you knew what month or what you were looking for, you could try and find it. But we've eliminated the long scroll. We've got everything categorized here in these tabs by annual year. And again, a lot of them do go down from 2016 to current. So it's a little bit cleaner information. And again, just getting you right to the information you need. You don't have to scroll through years and years of data. Any other questions? As
It looks nice.
great. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a definite improvement over what exists currently, and
Wonderful. There's a lot of information, you know, the current website really does have a lot, and it's mostly in the meetings documents and forms, and kind of organizing that, and again making it nice and accessible for the people who want to find it quickly, because while it isn't only 2% of returning visitors, they're the ones that need that information.
It's a very important.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Wow.
That pretty much encompasses what I wanted to show and share with you today. The final piece is that we plan to launch the website at the end of the month, fully relaunch it. We're currently in what I call the staging environment. So we're rebuilding each page piece by piece right now in a off-site environment that doesn't affect the actual website until we're ready. So over the next 3 weeks, we'll be putting the new layout and design on all the pages, getting everything cleaned up, getting all the buttons and spacing and functionality worked out, and then having the final review with Chris and Murray before our launch in September.
And I'm not familiar with the agreement that you have with the port regarding your duties and fees. But I'm wondering if you have been retained to do follow-ups.
Yep. Absolutely. So there's a number of different items, and the follow-up, of course, within all of our contracts, we do 3 months afterwards of very light maintenance, making sure everything's up and running. But primarily, I will be leaving them with a lot of documentation on how to make the updates. One of our main priorities while making the website on the front end accessible and better for visitors' enjoyment was also making it a better experience for the editors on the back end. So I want to make sure that they have a really clean interface and that they know how to access what they need to access and change what they need to change. But we're always here.
And do you do that in I'll use the term hands-on method, or do you do it through?
Both. So I, ideally would sit down and do a Zoom just like this, screen share, and I'll make them drive the wheels and basically tell them what to do. But I also leave behind a PDF document, step 1, click here, step 2, click here, step 3, click here. So yeah, and what's nice about WordPress, which is what this website is built on, even though we are doing a lot of changes on the back end that will affect how they make edits, it's still largely the same. So there's a lot of familiarity within it, no matter what we do on the back end. So I think it'll be a good transition.
Okay. And Mary, is it who's responsible for the website on our staff?
Murray and Chris work the website.
Okay. Okay.
John, or is that, do I see your hand? Oh,
Yep.
There's John's, I'm sorry.
Yep. So Emily,
Yes.
I recently got exposed to QR codes
Mhm.
on something I'm working with,
Mhm.
and I'm shocked at how people are so heavily dependent on their cell phone, their smartphone, as opposed to, a laptop at home.
Yep.
Do you see that we could actually have like a QR code, emblem or whatever you want to call it, on like a side of a building?
Mhm.
And somebody could, take their smartphone and it would link them to something on our website that would get into more detail?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Would that be possible?
absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very,
That
very.
would
And keeping in mind that the mobile traffic is so high for this site, Chris and Marie have asked us to start putting together a proposal to build a mobile optimized version of the site once we're complete with this desktop version. So that will be, we're currently discussing that as well.
This site,
Okay.
and just to clear it up too, every site we build is responsive and mobile ready. I think it's, this site it's not like it's not going to work on a phone. It's going to look beautiful on a phone and work just fine. But I think for the mobile experience, we could make a better experience for them, especially, knowing where the traffic wants to go, the website traffic, what they want to see, and
Right.
having those QR codes, like having a big QR code on the side of Greenbank Farm or something, that says learn more, want to event this space, and there's a QR code there for them to visit. I think that's a fabulous idea. Mhm.
Okay. Good.
Any other questions?
Can you tell from when a person uses their phone to research the port,
Mhm.
is it mostly, I would assume it's mostly to find out information about what's available to see or do or spend money on, as
Yep.
opposed to looking at the minutes from the July 18th meeting of the Port of Coupeville Commissioners.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. That's
Yeah, we assume the most of the mobile traffic are people looking for those items versus individuals like yourself who might be on a desktop at home
Yeah.
looking for the documents, minutes.
And we can get more minute with that too. I do take all this information with a bit of grain of salt, but we can, based on a user's phone, what device they're looking at, we can tell what region they're coming from. And right now the data says that a majority of viewers are coming from Seattle. That said, your phone very well could be listed as a Seattle phone, your IP address, if you're down in Clinton, that might actually be, some of those numbers might be considered
Sure.
Seattle. But as it stands right now, it says that data is coming from Seattle. So based on that, I would assume they're coming over from one of the ferries, especially if it's Greenbank Farm, they're probably coming in from the south end and visiting, planning their day, trying to find where to stop. Mhm.
Hey,
Any
There
John.
was a very interesting first page that you put up with the various statistics
Yeah.
as to who was, who's getting hit the most. Is that kind of statistic going to be continually provided to Chris and his staff?
Yep.
So
Yep,
after
it is.
the website comes up, we can see who's going where. Yeah, great.
Correct. Yep. And
Thank
that's, I was kind of surprised when I went in and just did my first assessment of the website as it is. The Google Analytics tracking hadn't been set up until we were called in. So we do unfortunately only have about the 60 days worth of data from the old site to work with as a comparison model. But I'm glad that we were able to get it up and running, and we do have those first 2 months of data that we can kind of correlate and make sure that we're still providing people with what they need and what they're searching for.
Thank you.
Yeah, and yes, there's a couple different ways. It's all set up through Google Analytics right now, and I'll make sure that when Chris and Marie, when they sign into WordPress, they see that graph that I showed you right away. That's almost the first thing they see when they sign in. So they'll always have the updated data, which is great. I think Chris loves data, as he put it. So he'll enjoy that.
I'm curious as to whether or not, obviously there's a cost to setting this up. Obviously there's a cost to updating it from time to time. I'm wondering if there's a way to establish a cost of actually having a website.
Sure.
On a day-to-day basis.
Sure. We could probably break that down. That's all set up through, that was all established before we were called on.
Right.
But yes, we can. So it's very simple, really. Once you have your hosting plan, which is through GoDaddy, and that's usually an annual or a 2-year plan, you pay for your host and your domain and a bunch of security, malware, spam security. And if you were to break it down by day, and another thing they're also paying for is email addresses, so admin@portofcoupeville.org. For each of those is an additional cost. So you'd have to break, you could take down that annual cost and break it down by the day.
Well, yeah, I'm not, daily is not really
Okay.
my focus, but
Annually, sure, absolutely. But yeah, once that part is set up, the WordPress piece is, well, as WordPress likes to put it, it's free. But that's why you've hired us. So we're not free, but we come in and through our fees, we make it accessible and easy for you to use. So that's paid for through our contract portion.
and how often do you feel a site like this should be updated and tweaked
So, well, it's
by professional tweakers?
yeah, by someone like us, not very often at all. These things are meant to run on their own. I think what updates we are looking at almost on a weekly basis would be more of the making sure that the YouTube videos are linked to the correct meeting. That page of the most recent documents, just making sure, and they're already doing this. This is stuff that they already do. When they add a new minutes document, they add it to the site. So those are the types of small updates they'll be doing on their own. Everything else is pretty much auto enabled. Unless something really drastically goes wrong, then that's when we come back in. But for the most part, it's meant to do those big updates all on its own, and behind the scenes at night when no one knows.
And this is probably a cliche at this point, but the introduction of more AI to business in general, is there a place for that within the Port of Coupeville that you perceive?
Only if you want to, not really. Not really. Oh, we use it mostly as like a writing tool. If I have a PDF of a long meeting, that's a lot of words, and you could throw that in there and say, will you please summarize this for me? And then even that you'll have to tweak, because the answer it spits out can sometimes be a little muddy and not
Use
quite right.
ChatGPT to do that?
Sometimes, yeah. Their answers have been getting a little, for me, a little redundant, I think, and sometimes not always factually correct.
Right.
ChatGPT's all of their information is from 2021. So anything new that's happened since 2021, they don't know. It doesn't know.
Okay.
Which is, kind of in my opinion, robots know everything, but it only knows everything till 2021.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe in the future they can be great for writing tools. If you don't want to sit down and write a 20-page document, having that text writer can be beneficial. Imagery is not great. I don't like it for imagery. I don't particularly like it for artistic purposes. But
Okay.
For business purposes, I don't think it's refined enough to be used in a business setting either.
Okay.
There may come a time when AI could take a look at the Google Analytics and make suggestions in terms of layout or structure.
And that said, we are installing the new theme that we are installing on their WordPress site. Every AI is the new thing. Every technology company wants to implement AI as part of their service right now. So a lot of website builders are promoting that our technology uses AI and here's how. So if you were to start building a website page with the new website that we built, and say it's Chris or Murray, and they want to make a new page, the AI is built already there within the builder to suggest, maybe you should put a picture of a sailboat here. Or if you want to write about this type of sailboat, here's some information on that type of sailboat. So it's actually, without us even doing anything, it's already being implemented onto a lot of things without us knowing. So, yeah.
Great.
I think Commissioner Day kind of touched on one opportunity with this new website is a potential enhancement of revenues for the port. If we could somehow design it so that it gets more people, get the user experience of stickiness for weddings,
Yeah.
ramped up.
Yep.
maybe that would be, I don't know. Maybe it would be, videos of a wedding posted,
Yeah.
something like.
I would also like to suggest that, well, weddings typically occur on Saturday, that barn sits empty probably 300 days of the year.
Right.
And that barn for the port has the potential for the largest revenue of the site. And I don't know how the other commissioners feel, but anything that we can do to promote that barn as a something that should be used on a regular basis for classes, or doesn't have to be just a wedding. It can be classes, it can be people creating their own sales events or parties or whatever.
Sure.
I think that's great. Yeah.
The barn has to become a revenue generator more than it is, from my perspective.
Sure.
Yep.
I think that space is so beautiful, and there's a lot of imagery and potential there, that building a website to make that look, and sound appealing as it is what we're looking forward to. The meetings and minutes and documents was stuff I kind of did that first to get it out of the way, because it's a lot of it, like I said, a lot of data, a lot of PDFs, and making sure that information is organized was a top priority. And I've been holding off on not holding off. We have drafts of the Green Bank pages and the Coupeville pages, but to me, those are going to be the most exciting and most rewarding to work on, because I do want them to be front and center. And there's going to be a lot more visually going on with those pages. We're going to start introducing more videos and a lot more imagery, so that people really are sold on the space.
Cool.
So, I know I've asked.
Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Any other statements for our designers?
I think for me, I'm glad to hear that our staff are going to be able to move forward with updates and all to the site, because I think right now, we're elected officials, so we turn over, on who's elected and whatnot. And so it may change about, what the future commissions want, and I think we do have very distinct, we have own island viewers of the website, and then we have off island visitors to the island that would be users. And so we have two very distinct type of users.
Mhm.
And how can we monetize both of them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we want to funnel and monetize.
Yep.
Definitely wanted to highlight the donation button and donation option on every page. There's discussion of doing some pop-ups, subtle pop-ups, nothing too forceful, but for example, when you come to the Green Bank page, there could be a pop-up to contact the event planner, or on the port page, it could have a pop-up to donate. So generating definitely top of mind.
Like David just mentioned about how many days of the year that the barn A is sitting empty. We have the holiday market day, that generates some revenue from renting the barn. How can we get more pop-up business activities or pop-up community activities, utilizing the barn and paying us money to utilize it throughout the year? So, okay.
Website will address that for sure.
Yep. Well, I'm good.
I have just one other question, and that goes to the business part of the site. Is there some kind of rule about how far back information should go? Or is that, do you know what I'm saying? Like, is it necessary to go back 10 years? Is 5 years enough? And then refer people to the office or something?
Yeah, I think that's I just took the information that's available to us currently on the website, because we don't want to erase or delete it.
I just wonder if that's something that Chris and the commissioners should think about as you move forward, because there's a point where it just becomes gobbledygook.
It does.
And if
yeah.
there's,
Hey,
because anybody that's going back to a particular something 10 years ago, they're going to have a specific thing that they're looking for. And the best place to get that information is from the office, generally.
Sure. After I would say a certain number of years, it might be more beneficial for them to call than search the internet. It's, this can be.
I don't know if I don't know what other businesses or entities do in that regard. It just seems a little, I don't know,
Yeah.
iffy to.
There's a requirement under the law that we operate, that we have to retain records for a certain period of time. I would imagine that.
Yes, but we don't have to retain them on our website.
My statement is that if whatever that period of time is, I think it's like 6 years, that would be a good place to cut stuff off, because you don't want to have, it's a website, it's not a research tool.
Up to you. Again, we can also let the numbers speak to that too. We could probably pull up and see, for the 2 months, has anybody clicked on anything from 2016? I don't think so, but
I'm just making a suggestion that you discuss that concept with Chris and.
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely.
or on that page, you have a message like pre-2016, please click this link to shoot an email to Chris.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And there is the public records request kind of process that goes through, is laid out on the current website, and that's pretty much what they would be linked to.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway.
Any other questions? Anything
I'm
else
good.
you'd like to tell us?
I think so. I think we've exhausted our information for the morning.
Thank you so much for showing this update and
course.
sharing this information with us, and we look forward to seeing it published and functioning.
Yeah,
Yep.
so do we. And thank you for the input and advice. I took notes. A lot of it was great. I love the port business. I needed that.
Super.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
very much. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank
You
you.
too. Thank you.
So let's see, where did we come from? We came from item 11, and that's been covered. So that takes us to item 12 and the second opportunity for public input. Do we have anybody there that would like to do that? Okay.
Not here, so it doesn't look like it.
That brings us to 13, a presiding officer's report. And as usual, I don't really have anything to report as the presiding officer. So I will go to my committee reports, which involve the COG and the IRTPO from the July meetings of those organizations. And we'll start with the COG. And the primary, there were basically two things that the COG meeting involved for the July 26th meeting. One was a broadband team update by Commissioner St. Clair. And basically, she referred us to the executive summary that John shared with us a couple of weeks ago through email, I believe. So unless you have questions about that, Janet generally talked in broad terms about broad aspects of broadband, to overuse the term broad. The second part of the meeting was a kind of update informational discussion with representatives of Snow Isle Library. And it was really just kind of a background of how Snow Isle is part of the Island County community, and how long they, like, for example, they've been part of Island County since 1963. And they have 1.8 million items in their collection, including books, DVDs, movies, electronic books and movies. Let's see. In Island County, and this is from 2021, more than 500,000 items were checked out, and there was over 370,000 individual users, individual transactions that occurred in that year from Island County users of the system. So we do pay a fair amount of taxes in one way, shape, or form that go to Snow Isle. But the county is, and the people in the county have used them well, I think. So if you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to address them if I could. And one other thing that was discussed very shortly was Michael Jones, who's the administrator for Island County, talked a little bit about funding from NOAA regarding climate. Pardon?
Climate resiliency.
Yes, exactly. And there's and he has met with Chris in this regard, but there is funding coming from NOAA over the next couple of years that could involve monies to help lift the wharf, for example. So we want to keep that in front of us. Mary, are you aware of that conversation at all? I can't hear you.
This is the first I've heard of it, so it's exciting that there's gonna be some funds out there.
Maybe you could check with Chris and reiterate that I brought that to the port from a COG meeting, and Michael literally said that he discussed it with Chris. So
Good.
So Commissioner Callahan, isn't that your old stomping grounds?
Yes,
Noah?
it is. Yes, it
Okay,
is.
we need to leverage that relationship.
we need to push a button there, Commissioner Callahan.
This would have to be done before we sign the ethics agreement.
Oh,
Well, I don't know why. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything wrong with it working the other way, is there?
No. Yeah.
Any other questions about the COG meeting?
nope.
I'll move to the IRTPO meeting. The primary, there was two primary items on that agenda. One was an update about the noxious weeds along Highway 525 and Highway 20 in Island County, and how WashDOT deals with that. And just for sake of knowledge, what they do is spray them. So, and they basically spray them along the guardrails, and to some degree in other areas of the right of way, but primarily they do that along the guardrails because the guardrails tend to be at near intersections where visibility can be degraded because of weeds and plants. So I thought that was kind of an interesting 20 minutes or so that discussion was had.
So Commissioner Dave, they're not using Agent Orange, are they?
No, they're using a version of what's the primary
Weed killer.
Roundup. They're using a version of Roundup.
Ah. I wonder if that's getting into the island's water supply.
Well, that was actually a question, and the response to that was, oh no, that dissipates within 5 days. So
Into our water supply.
obviously I can't speak to that because I'm not a chemist and I'm not a hydrologist, but I'm not sure that the people who asked that question were happy with the response either. So and actually the other way that they do deal with noxious weeds is to mow them. So and on occasion they will mow them and then go out and hand poison the rootstock, or that part which was left after being clipped off. So it was an interesting part of the meeting. The second part of the meeting was an update from Island Transit regarding their fleet transition plan, which basically they have 64 vehicles in their system, and beginning in approximately 2 years, they will begin to replace the current vehicles with electric vehicles as the current vehicles age out of usefulness. So over, I believe, I'm sorry I didn't write this down, but I believe that the whole fleet will be replaced by electric vehicles by 2040.
Wow. 17 years. Okay.
Yeah. And it will also include battery electric and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. So the beginnings of that will be in their smaller vehicles that deal with paratransit. And as time goes on and the vehicles age out, it will obviously encompass the larger full-size bus vehicles. So so the only other note I made in regard to that part of the meeting was to see whether or not the port might have any there might be any value for the port in looking into hydrogen fueling. So
well, that actually kind of circles back.
Report.
Super.
Any questions?
Very informative. Thank you.
Yes, see what you're missing by not taking my place in those meetings.
David, I will say that is probably one of the more important meetings relative to the port in a long, long time, right? Don't you feel like
Well, I
Yeah.
think in general, I think being a part of the COG is always informative and a little, sometimes I feel like, what they're talking about has absolutely nothing to do with the Port of Coupeville, and then sometimes it's very relevant. And the IRTPO, I feel pretty much the same way, but it's always informative. Whether it has to do with the hospital district or the
Hi, how are you?
transportation policies, or it's always informative.
Yep.
So it's an opportunity to, for the most part, learn stuff that you wouldn't learn as a typical citizen, even though those meetings are open to the public, but they never have public there, or almost never. So it's and in regard to the RTPO particularly, we're a voting member of the executive committee, so it is important that there be a large
Commissioner?
group there to vote, and so it's important to participate. I think, even though sometimes it feels like the Port of Coupeville has very little to do with the highway system on Camino Island. So, anyway, without objection, that takes us to commissioner discussion. And I don't know, you brought something up earlier in the meeting, John, about having a lack of information that I quite frankly didn't understand. So if
do we know who's filed for your district during this 3-day open filing period?
no, I was referring to a comment you made during the meeting about
That you had requested information about the expenses associated with the airport initiative. I
no,
never got
I
that.
did not do that. What I did was ask for a review of the last 4 years of revenue or potential revenue from the grants that the port has secured. That's what I did.
Okay.
That's what I asked Don for. And
So the information that was publicized in the newspaper about how much money that the Port of Coupeville invested in the airport initiative, where did that come from?
I assume from a public records request, but I don't know that. You could ask Louisa, she might know. She's on the line there.
Dawn,
Hi.
didn't you say that you had put that together a couple of weeks ago, that you were the one who put together the amount of money that was spent on the airport thing? Because you thought we wanted to see what it looked like or something?
Well, it was requested of me in one of the meetings to
Well, I think I did that in an open public meeting, maybe
that was quite a while ago.
3 meetings ago or so, maybe 4.
Yeah.
That was inside a public meeting.
Yeah. And I did create the report, and I did send it with all the other to everybody.
To everybody?
And I still have it if you want me to go ahead and resend it.
That was part of a financial meeting, our last month meeting, our first of the month, last month meeting.
Yeah. I'd like to see.
I asked for that in an open public meeting. I didn't ask for it outside of a meeting.
Right. But I never got copied.
I'll go ahead and send it again. I'll send it with the grant report that I did.
It was part of the packet
Yeah.
for the first meeting of July. It was part of the packet. Is that the question you were asking about, John?
It was more of a,
Earlier on in this meeting, is that what you were referring to?
yeah, it was a request on my part that if an individual commissioner asks for information to be shared, to be provided, that it be shared with all the commissioners so we're all on the same page. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's fine. I don't mind doing that at all. Yeah.
Well, I certainly have no objection to that.
Right.
I don't think I've gotten a lot of information for things that other commissioners have requested either, but you know, I'm happy to make multiple requests for multiple delivery of things that I'm interested in.
Yeah, the report that I sent, it was on the July 12th meeting that it was sent with all the other reports. I will go ahead and forward that out right now, along with the grant report.
And Dawn, that number would have gotten bigger since then, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. I think that I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure that I added in the July 12th bill that was not paid yet. But of course now it is. But I already included that on there, but I will double check to see if there's anything missing. And then just update it.
But going back to your statement, John, I think the information from that was published in the Whidbey News Times, I'm quite sure that came from a public records request. I think Chris even referred to that at one point, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm wondering, Mary, if there's been any further discussion about open tenancies at the farm and how the present tenants have been brought into that conversation, or if they have.
I have not been brought into that information. No, I think it was Chris and Murray have been discussing it because she does the leases.
Okay.
So I don't know about that.
Is there anything else you gentlemen would like to bring up or talk about?
No. Or Dave, are you planning to check with the auditor's office to see if somebody's going to run for your position?
Well, as I said, John, I wasn't even aware that they had opened that back up, but I'll check their website now that you said today is the last day.
Right.
I'm sure there'll be something in the paper on Saturday.
Okay.
I have a thought that I would like to implant, a seed, if you will,
Seed,
a seed.
you're gonna sow it.
That's right. You guys are gonna have to, I'll water you with alcohol, less than $50. The thought occurred to me anyway, that we have an awful lot of stuff to deal with in the very near future. I went over the priority list that we had initially looked at, and some of those items have been done. Some are still outstanding, and of course, they're going to be looking at a new set of jobs in this next budget cycle rather. So those are important issues. And things like whether or not to create advisory committees, as we had talked about last meeting. What do we want to do about creating some kind of housing for workforce, that kind of stuff. Those are particularly the kinds of things that a commission such as ours, I think, are supposed to be delving into and trying to get some action on. And to that extent, I think it's to our benefit to make sure that the meetings that we are having are as effective and efficient as possible. So that's the background statement. The suggestion is, and the seed that I'd like to plant, is that we come up with some ideas rather, as to how to limit ourselves in various discussions. So, for example, it would be nice if we could shoot for, we don't have to do it, but shoot for no more than a 2-hour meeting, and then do whatever we need to do to keep the meeting within that 2-hour time frame. It would be nice if we are going to be briefed by somebody to know as to what the purpose of the briefing is. Is this an informational briefing, or is this a briefing that's going to require the committee to make a decision? And then when we're doing that kind of stuff, maybe we could ask the people that are making the presentations to limit it to a certain period of time, which will get them focused on getting the absolute information that we need to us, as opposed to just, going on and on and on and on. So that's what I'd like to implant as a seed, because I think we're going to be hitting a wall here in the next few months trying to get a lot of stuff done.
I agree with you, Commissioner Callahan. Having attended, other ports meetings, Port of South Whidbey, the Port of Skagit, even the Port of Columbia, way out in the eastern part of the, that I've actually zoomed in on their meetings. Once you get out of the silo of Central Whidbey and see what other people do, it's really amazing how other meetings are conducted. I mean, it's ports that are massively bigger than us. They get their meeting done in under an hour. Mm-hmm. Ports that are infinitely smaller than us, they're well orchestrated, and you don't have to find out how the watch is built every time you ask what time it is. So I agree with you. We need to, our time is valuable. It's our leadership and our ability to give direction at a high level. It's what's required of our job. So, good point. Keep watering.
No, I mean,
okay.
I've attended a number of meetings in my life and run a few, and I've found that there are little things you can do to try and focus the entire meeting so as to to accomplish a lot of stuff. So just
right.
we just should think about that.
Yep.
Well, as a commissioner who's leaving the Port of Coupeville in 5 months or so, I will look forward to your conducting your meetings next year in under 2 hours. Without anything further, I just have one other note, and that's that I will be traveling from the 11th of September until the 7th of October, which I think means I will probably miss the 2nd September meeting. I may miss both September meetings. But I expect to be back for I will be back for the primary meetings involving this finishing of the budget. And I'll certainly try to be online if I can be. But where I will be, I can't guarantee, so.
David, same thing here. I have potential conflict with the meeting on September 27th. I will also try and zoom in, but I don't know what the, what the electronics are going to be in that particular location.
So Mary, can you make a note of that? Because if both of us are missing, there's no point for a meeting and we might want to plan for that. So especially the financial part of all that. So without objection, I'll call this meeting adjourned.
I'm good.
Thank you.
Sorry, I went over 2 hours.
David, I was
Just
not,
barely.
I was not in any way, shape or form criticizing what you do with meetings. It's, it's just a lot of these